And luck on the loss, your feeling and your thoughts on the game.
Good evening to everyone. First, I must commend the good work that Arthur has done at Amazulu. I think I'm very proud of the progress that him and his team have made. And I believe the direction that they have taken as a team, it inspires me. It makes me even more excited because Amazulu were usually the victims of always thinking success is in the old players. Not that I'm saying all players are not important, but they used to get players that have reached their prime in the past. But when I see young boys like Langabeza, I get excited. I must be honest. I can see the direction that the province is taking, and that excites me. But coming to the game, I think we played very well. I think we dominated the game from the first whistle to the last whistle. I think we created a lot of moments, and probably first half we should have killed the game. And unfortunately not to kill it then, because we got some good situations and we even got a penalty, which I think that could have made this game a completely different context if we scored a penalty. But besides the penalty, I think we also had very good moments in and around the box. Excited with the progress that the boys are making. I don't want to lie to you. I'm very excited. I can see the direction the team is taking, and looking at the youngsters that I also introduced. I felt very good when I saw Figo, the way he played. I think I was very impressed when I saw Mayambela at left back in the latter stages. I got excited because I can see the direction at which the team is taking, and I can see how potentially good the second round of the season can be, because now I don't have probably even one player from the youngsters that has not had an opportunity to get to know what the future is going to be like. And with a more open competition second round, and with everybody believing that he can do something for the club, I'm even more excited because I think I'm seeing a huge difference in the team in many aspects. Maybe starting from our offensive play, I think there's a tremendous improvement in that regard. When I compare this first round, 14 games of the league, and the 3 games that we played in the cup, and looking at the whole season, last season, I'm saying last season we scored 21 goals in 30 games. And this season we have scored 26 goals in 17 games. And that for me is a very big positive. But be that as it may, an area that we must work very hard on is our defensive play. I don't want to be oblivious of the fact that we have conceded a lot of goals, because that's the reality. But the sad part in that reality is that most of these goals are not structural mistakes where the team was not balanced, the team did not have people in the right positions. But unfortunately, we've had too many individual errors that have cost the team the results in many instances. And if we can sort that out, and maybe with the competition that we are hoping to bring in the second round, I'm more excited because I know the area where I should try to work a little bit harder on, because in terms of our offensive concept and our concept of space offensively, there are a lot of exciting things in that space. But now, how do we minimize the kind of mistakes that we have made, and how do we make sure that we take the chances that we create? Because in as much as I'm saying we have scored so many goals this season, but the reality is in games like this, maybe this game finishes 5-0, maybe 5-2. But the reality is, we must also give credit to the goalkeeper. Mngqithi had some sterling saves that I don't know how he came there, but that's football for him. But that's it.
Good evening, Coach. Susan from Independent Media. Coach, the word crazy is usually associated with goalkeepers. Uxolani has a very special style that he plays the game. Other people might call it crazy, other people might call it brave. How does he make you feel as his coach?
No, man, I think there's growth in his game, but he has played probably the wrong game for too long. Because as a young goalkeeper, because I know him from a young age, he was a Sundowns youth goalkeeper. But from there, he never really got to continue to play the game that he loves the most, the passing game, and where he commands the last line. And because of so many seasons of wrong habits, I don't think he is settled enough to consistently focus on all the elements of the game, because sometimes he gets excited and wants to play faster, and he has not checked whether the opponents are organized or what. But he has improved in leaps and bounds from the time he arrived in the club and now. He has to work very hard though, to keep his place in the team, because the goalkeepers that I have are really coming up, and they have got some elements that are completely different from each other. There's Sanele, who is a completely different goalkeeper from all the goalkeepers that I have, and just wait, one day you'll be excited to see that kind of a goalkeeper. You'll be very excited, I promise you. Mahova is also had a dip in his form, but in training he's coming back, and I think the competition is also helping him, and I'm sure he's going to come stronger. Banjwa started very well with us, but we knew he is not used to a training regime like ours. And in that area, both him and Ngcobo still have to work very hard to improve their physical condition, which will help them to play this game better. But I'm very excited with the progress that Ngcobo has made, because I also like the fact that he's brave. And I like it because I want a goalkeeper that puts a thought and tries to execute, instead of always going back to his old ways, because that does not help. He has made some mistakes in the process, but he has learned some lessons. I always say, sometimes we don't lose, we learn. And I'm very excited with the progress.
Coach, and like on the last, you've seen it all in football. In many years, you've had some lessons. What has you learned in 2025? How can you reflect to this year as Coach Mngqithi and about South African football as a whole, as someone who worked in Africa as well? How can you reflect to 2025?
I'm a little bit worried with how we approach football matches in the PSL. And I'm not going to mention names, but I'm a little bit worried that we have a Pirates team that is really trying to be progressive and trying to do things and look at football probably in a much broader perspective than the Pirates of old, because the Pirates of old was only dangerous in counter-attacks and break-attacks. But when you look at the Pirates that they have now, it has got a lot of facets and signs that they are really progressing as a good team, and I think they also have a very good team. Sundowns, everybody has ruled Sundowns out for this season, but personally I'm still feeling that Sundowns is just going to get their mojo very soon. And they've recruited a very good team. The players that they've brought into the team, I think they are improving the team in many ways. Technically, I think they are even better in between the lines this year. But when you look further down, you have a TS Galaxy team that is progressive, that is really trying to come up, and exciting because they also have a lot of youngsters that are really asking questions even in the national team. You look at a team like Golden Arrows, they try things. They are trying to improve individual players to become household names. But I look at the broader PSL and I see the negativity that is growing, where we approach games hoping for teams to make mistakes without an initiative. And Arthur started the season quite well, and I'm worried that maybe it's other people putting him under pressure now to not to play expansive, and for a player like XTN not to start a game of today, because I think he's been one of their best players. And when you come to a match where you want to be a dominant force, because you are number 5 on the log, and you are pushing for the top 3. But you come to a match like this with a mentality to say no, maybe let's sit back and react to that. That worries me, because I want teams like Amazulu, with these young boys that are willing to take risks, that are trying to learn from these things, because the second round is going to be completely different. I can promise you the second round of the season is going to be completely different for me, for all these other teams. And when you check the XGs of most teams in the PSL, you get worried that teams are not creating enough because they are reactive, they are not proactive. And there's one team that I said beginning of the season, when everybody was talking very highly about that team, and I said, I don't think this football will sustain itself, because sometimes it's too obvious for people and everybody to see that if you can deal with 1, 2, 3, and 4, you will do better. So I would love to see teams being expansive a little bit, because we can't depend on Pirates and Sundowns to produce players for the national team. We need to have players in almost 6, 7 teams that are contesting to improve the national team, because if there is a collapse at one team, then the other will come. And as it is now, you look at the team that Hugo has chosen, you've got Pirates more than Sundowns. And I can't blame, because it's the reality. People will say this and that and that and that, but the reality of the matter is Pirates has got a lot of local players. And Sundowns does not have local players. In the starting lineup of Sundowns, you know now that you've got 5 or 6 players that are not eligible to play for Bafana. And that's where now this thing is taking a different direction. And other teams are invested in older players, and it becomes very difficult to make sure that the pipeline for the national team is consistent in giving us what we need going forward. So I just hope, because I think Kevin, in my opinion, are still doing well at Durban City. And he has introduced a lot of youngsters that are playing well, that did very well even in the NFT And their position on the log for a team that is coming from the NFT is very good. And I wonder what's going to happen next from there, because chances are that if they are not excited with what he was doing, then the question is, do they want to be progressive and play expansive, or do they want somebody that is going to give them better percentages of getting into the box? You know? So, but I'm not judging any team. I'm just giving you my view of how I see the PSL this season, because that shift now that is shifting towards Pirates, because Pirates is having a lot of local players, a lot of younger local players. If you look at Muremi, you look at Apolis, you look at Mahopa, you look at Butuma, you look at Mbule, you look at Nemtajela, you look at Mbata, you can, the list is endless of players that are going to fit the national team. Unlike what we've always been used to, that Chiefs will fit the national team, Sundowns will fit the national team, Pirates will fit the national team, and Golden Arrows fed the national team. For the World Cup, Golden Arrows had probably 3 players in that team that have been from Arrows, if you also count Tikhashwa was coming from me. So I will still continue in that direction. And if we are not continuing in that direction, we are going to be excited and be disappointed very quickly, maybe after 2-3 years, and mainly depend on one team.
Coach.
Even Coach, hard luck on the results today. You spoke about progress, obviously, that's obviously including the last 4 games where you guys have been winless. Is this the perfect time for you guys to be taking a break with the AFCON coming through? Is this the perfect time for you guys to sort of reassess going into the second half of the season?
You know, football being a game where results is what determines the fate of the team. It's easy to look at the last 4 games and say we are winless and it's a credit, it's a fate. But if you look deep inside those games, you will say we did not deserve to lose against Chester. We did not deserve to lose against Amazon. We did not deserve to lose even against Pirates. And we did not deserve at all to lose against Maroon. So, Mina, as a coach looking at the process, I'm saying we have learned our lessons. Let's see whether we will grow in the second round or which direction we are going to take. But where I'm sitting, I'm seeing a lot of positives than negatives.
Coach, I'm going to take it back to what we just spoke about after this point here. That, you know, you look at the previous AFCON, it was dominated by Sundowns, and then now you said it's because Pirates are introducing many players from South Africa. Now, the question comes in, because at Sundowns, you signed many players both local. Was that the thing that you were fighting for, to ensure that there is a representation of Sundowns that is dominating for the national team? And also just to go forward, of course we saw the set part of the band, and if we coach don't want to answer that, I won't understand. You talk about competition, that you're going to increase the competition in the January transfer window. Where are we in terms of the band? Has the club cleared the band? Anything like that?
Sorry, Coach. Can you not touch on the band? Thank you.
No, man. We have signed too many players. I did not even want to add any players for this next window, because I'm focusing on preparing this group. It's a big group. And I'm excited for what I've seen. What was the first question?
First one was, we talk about in the pre-pack AFCON, Sundowns dominated players, and now it's Pirates. Was that one thing that when we were at Sundowns, we were trying to maintain that there is a huge representation of Sundowns, because we are also doing very well in Africa, that you must have domination of Sundowns, also to have the national team players of local.
You know, I think because the time I was there, it was one of the mandates from the boss. We wanted Sundowns to be able to help national teams as well, from youth national teams to the senior national teams, and Sundowns always had good presentation there. But I think of late, they have not recruited much in terms of the South African players, maybe because specifically they are focusing on decisive positions. You know, when you lose a player like Lucas, you want to try and say, can you get 2 or 3 more players that can plug that gap, that maybe are at that level. And other teams are also strengthening themselves. Because I don't want to lie and say Sundowns did not strengthen the team better from where they were last season. I think they've done exceptionally well. But unfortunately, that strengthening was mainly from players from outside. You know, the 2 players, Resinho and Nuno Santos, are big additions in the team. And maybe they are going to help the team even in the Champions League. But unfortunately, you've got Izwane that is just coming back from injury. You've got a Tapelo who's also been injured a lot. Even Obas has not played too many matches. Then
Mvala is out.
Mvala is not been playing at all in that central defense. And they've also not been doing exceptionally well, to be honest. And that compounds the issue on Hugo, who he brings in the team, because there are players that are playing regularly for their teams like Ndamane at TS Galaxy, Kabini at Sekukune, and he wants to try and have players that are playing, and it makes sense to bring players that are playing in their teams rather than to force matters with players that have not had enough game time, and also players that are not getting younger as well.
Thank you.